Hi there, caregivers. Let's talk about finding the right doctor and finding the right treatment approach for Lewy body dementia. I'm going to read a very important document that was put out by the Lewy Body Dementia Association, written by Dr. Bradley Beauvais of the Mayo Clinic, that is hugely important for you to know as a Lewy body dementia caregiver. He says Lewy body dementia, like Alzheimer's disease, is not preventable or curable, but by focusing on what we can do rather than what we cannot do, there is much that can be done to allow your patients to enjoy a higher quality of life. This letter, by the way, was written to physicians by Dr. Beauvais. In fact, LBD patients tend to have greater cholinergic deficits, but less neuronal loss than Alzheimer's disease patients. So there is more potential for improvement and or stabilization using the cholinesterase inhibitors. Additionally, there are good medications for many of the behavioral features of LBD. In our experience, many LBD patients enjoy significant improvement with a comprehensive approach to therapy, addressing cognitive, neuropsychiatric, motor, sleep, autonomic, and other medical issues. And many have remarkably little change from year to year. Clearly, not all patients experience this improvement and slowly progressive course. But for many LBD patients, especially those with little atrophy on their MRI, the neurotransmitter deficit appears to drive the illness more than neuronal death. Such patients can improve with therapy, sometimes markedly, and do quite well, all things considered, for many, many years. Perhaps it is the lack of a comprehensive approach that many have not seemed to benefit. Perhaps there are biologic differences between different patient populations that lead to differences in the clinical course. We at the Lewy Body Dementia Association firmly believe an aggressive and comprehensive approach is necessary with LBD patients, especially early in the illness, and some clinicians may not take that approach. Now, listen to this paragraph. It's very important because this is what's happening to many of you. Dr. Beauvais says, it pains us greatly, and the us is the Lewy Body Dementia Scientific Advisory Council of the Lewy Body Dementia Association. He says, it pains us greatly to think of LBD patients who see physicians who have the all too frequent view that this patient has dementia. None of the drugs work, so there's little to do. So get your finances in order and plan for a painful next few years when you won't recognize your family and you'll need to live in a nursing home. Now, this is the view of so many doctors, including neurologists and psychiatrists, he says, and it is the Lewy body dementia specialist, obligation to educate the public and the medical community that LBD is very different than Alzheimer's. And it is absolutely unacceptable to do nothing or take a nihilistic approach. We must also maintain realistic optimism, since there's almost always something we doctors can do to affect quality of life through medications, education, counseling, behavioral modification, etc. Dr. Beauvais says, encourage your patients' caregivers to become good detectives by carefully studying and identifying medications and other interventions or environmental factors that influence the Lewy body dementia patient's function and fluctuations. We are seeking to promote knowledge and understanding that LBD is a relatively common form of dementia, is recognizable to the educated eyes, can respond to cholinase inhibitor plus or minus psychostimulant therapy, sometimes dramatically, should not be exposed to conventional neuroleptics, and quality of life for patients and families can be reasonably good for many years. That is good news. That is important news. Thank you, Dr. Bradley Beauvais from Mayo Clinic, who is also a member of the Scientific Advisory Council for Lewy Body Dementia Association. So please, please do not settle for a doctor who is taking the approach that Dr. Beauvais was describing that should not be taken. And folks, I have to tell you, I talk to lots of Lewy body dementia caregivers across the country all the time, and that is very, very common. As a matter of fact, it's the most common thing I run into, is that they are dealing with physicians who do not understand this disease. I hear it a lot. Doctors who don't know how to treat LBD. Now, what kind of doctor do you need? You need one who's either very knowledgeable in LBD, which is very rare and hard to find, or you need a doctor who's humble enough and wise enough to be willing to learn what to do. And either one of those, either the knowledgeable one or the humble and willing one, they need to respect you and they need to listen to you as the primary caregiver. It's a very important quality you need to have in a doctor treating LBD patient. The doctor you do not need is the one who's going to have that famous 15-minute appointment where you're whisked in and you're whisked out, who may not give any meds at all, or who may give multiple meds at one time, too many, too fast, because the key medication mantras that must be acknowledged in any form of dementia, and especially Lewy body dementia, is first of all, one change at a time and only one change at a time. Either take one away and leave it alone for a while, see what happens, and then add another medication. Or if you're adding a medication, only add one, not two at the same time. Because if something goes wrong, you're not going to know what caused it. You're going to have to go back to the beginning, the starting line all over again. So one change at a time is the first mantra. And the second mantra for Lewy body dementia for sure is low and slow. Begin at a very low dose, take time in between, at least a few days in between, and then titrate slowly up or down. So you go low, you start low, and you go slow in changing in a medication. Now, where can you find that specialist? Go to the Lewy Body Dementia Association website, which is lbda.org, lbda.org, and look for RCOE, the Research Centers of Excellence. So if you Google RCOE space LBDA or LBDA space RCOE for Research Centers of Excellence, it should take you right to that link. Or call the LBDA. There's a helpline, and they will show you how to make that connection. They will help you get that connection to Research Centers of Excellence. There are over 20 of them scattered around the country. And if you live nearby, you may be able to take advantage of those. There is an LBD specialist at those places. The other thing you can do is to join a support group or network with other LBD caregivers in some way and find out who has already found those doctors in the community who either already know how to treat it or who are willing to learn how to treat it and who listen to you. Please, I beg you, hugely in your journey, it's important to find the right doctor and find the right treatment. This disease is the most responsive of all the dementias to the right treatment. This was told to me by Dr. Daniel Coffer at UNC Chapel Hill, who is one of those LBD specialists, one of those specialists who knows a few, there are only a few of them in the world who really know what to do. And he told me that even though this is among the most complex of the dementias, it is the most responsive to the right treatment. And that's what the doctor gives. and to the right management. And that's what we deliver as caregivers. So please find the right doctor. Please don't settle for less than the right treatment. Get educated, and it will make all the difference for you and your family. It could give you years of a much more gentle journey. That's what happened at our house. It took us 12 doctors to get there, but we got there. I want that for you. So hang in there, people. Keep doing that good work that you're doing. And thank you for that good work.